Dr. Harilela, the richest Indian tycoon in China and a Hong Kong icon. A former street kid who left school at 9 years old, today he presides over one of modern Hong Kong's most successful family businesses.
He's a financial genius.
In my eyes, Dr. Harvey is the Bill Gates or Warren Buffett.
Harry decided to invest in Hong Kong, buy property, when people were selling property for peanuts.
The son of an antiques dealer, Dr. Harry survived the Great Depression, the Second World War, and the Cultural Revolution to turn the foundations of a mail-order tailoring business into a multi-billion-dollar real estate development company.
He was able to pick the right spot. Nathan Road at that time was like school today.
Harry Harilela has built his business on the trust of a word and a handshake. He's amassed billions in wealth, but as he's aged, his focus on what is important in life has shifted.
I don't consider money very important. I consider family very important. I think that's the way I like to keep it until I die.
When the Japanese were defeated, Harry was left with worthless yen and useless Singer sewing machines that no one wanted. He had to come up with another plan. Harry turned his attention to the British forces. To rebuild their trust, he began by trading vegetables, poultry, eggs and fruits for cigarettes and whiskey. He resold the much-loved whiskey and cigarettes to locals for a small profit on the advice of his father.
And that gave us a very big opening with the British Army, and they scrutinized us, and they found out that we are the only honest people there. That time, I think the colonel, he said, what do you want? You take our laundry, you make a uniform for us, you supply us food stuff, and just send us the bill.
Harry may have lacked the know-how, but he wasn't going to let that deter him. What was important was that he had earned the trust of the British, who saw him as an honest businessman. He seized what was a golden opportunity to be the source and supply for the British Army of Hong Kong.
He went to look for tailors. We don't know how to sew. We don't know how to cut. So he got a couple of tailors and formed his tailoring workshop. And from there he grew and grew. And from the British, then there were Americans.
The Americans were fighting Chiang Kai-shek's army in Tsingtao and came to Hong Kong for supplies. The British introduced Harry to the Americans, a concession was negotiated, and within a short period of time, Harry had 11 supply outlets in American bases across the region.
And the US Army, not knowing what to buy, what to give, they used to give us $500,000 US order, open order, supply what you like. And you know, that time, that piece of paper was a lot of money. I mean, $500,000, it's just like 50 million or 60 million nowadays.
The contract to tailor British and US Army uniforms and supply their goods was Harry's ticket to fortune. Through a war, and in only a matter of years, he catapulted from earning $19 a month to making his first million. But this remarkable sense of achievement was to be short-lived. In 1948, Dr. Harry's father, the inspiration and driving force behind the young band of brothers, died of a heart attack at the age of 53. The family was devastated.
It just happened so fast. No one could understand. Within, I think, 2 days, we went one day in a hospital. Next morning, not there yet.
The death of their father brought the brothers closer together. Older brother George took over as figurehead of the family, while Harry ran the business side of things. After returning home from the war, the British and US servicemen remained loyal customers to the Harilela tailors, and Hong Kong's first mail-order business was set up. It was a huge success, often making over 600 suits a day.
They asked us to send us the suits, and somehow, when it became mail order, 95% of our suits was not returned. And then we told them that if you want any alteration done on your suits, it'll be free for a lifetime. But and then mail order became a very big business.
Mail order made the Harilelas millions of dollars, but Harry wasn't satisfied. He wanted to diversify. He had doubts over the security of the garment industry. He thought the business was becoming crowded, and as traveling was now easier, people would buy overseas. It would be the first major dispute between the brothers.
Peter and George felt that we are doing so well in the clothing business, and we put into a property we are not sure, and there were not so many tourists coming to Hong Kong those days. And we didn't realize, we had of course Imperial Hotel. It was doing well, but not that well. Then our retail was doing much better. So I think this is one of the reasons that brothers felt that, we should not put in such a huge amount of money into this hotel.
But when it came to business arguments, Harry got his way, and he soon bought into his first real estate development, the Imperial Hotel on Nathan Road.
So my brothers was still carrying on mail order while I went in the real estate. And real estate at that time, if it was easier, I tell you why. Because the bank was behind you. And I bought for $64,000 that building. And I demolished, and I got double the money. And that tempted me.
He's a financial genius. His figures, his accountancy, his figures, all self-learned. Excellent. He worked it out quickly and said, this project will make money for us right away. He's very quick in that.
Emboldened by his success, Dr. Harilela pressed on, investing in 4 hotel projects in the space of 10 years. And in 1965, aged 43, he launched his most ambitious project yet, the Holiday Inn on Hong Kong's Golden Mile in Kowloon.
He was able to pick the right spot. Nathan Road at that time was like it's gold today. It was gold in those years. That was the main street in Hong Kong.
It was an enormous gamble, and one that almost ended in disaster before it had begun. Pro-communist leftists, inspired by the Cultural Revolution in China, turned a passive labour dispute into large-scale demonstrations against British colonial rule. Riots, bombs, death squads and extreme nationalism rocked Hong Kong to its foundations. Harry's investors fled the country.
They started construction on the Golden Mile in the mid-60s. There were riots in Hong Kong. Most of the shareholders left. He had to buy them out.
We almost went bankrupt. I had to rush to Canada to sell all my properties in San Francisco and Canada to bring money here, which my family thought was foolish, because they thought we'll be, taken over by the raid guards. But I have this different feeling.
Harry had given his word to the bank. He had no choice but to make his investments work. Yet the risks were increasing and his family was nervous. Now more than ever, he needed its trust and support.
End of 1967, 68, when the bombs were put everywhere, my brothers came to me and he said, "You're doing wrong. You're building the hotel at this time." And I said, "I still believe in it." And finally, my elder brother came to me. He said, "All right. Nobody believes you. They want you to get rid of what you need." He brought the jewelry from his wife. Of course, I would never take it. Sell this.
There were more sacrifices ahead. Harry sold off the family assets, and the 11 family members moved into a 1,000 square foot apartment in Kowloon.
That was the hardest time, because family moved in the next door apartments. And so we had no house, no home here, only the small apartment with the whole family. That was the toughest time of our life.
A lot of people didn't take that view, and a lot of wealthy people left Hong Kong because they made the wrong assessment of the Cultural Revolution. Harry decided to invest in Hong Kong, buy property, when people were selling property for peanuts at that time, and it was a very good investment.
With his brother's support, Harry continued on with his plan. The Cultural Revolution came to a sudden end in December 1967, And although this resulted in a more stable environment for Harry to do business, it wasn't the end of his problems with the Holiday Inn. Harry wanted a unique ballroom, the first of its kind in Asia, unobstructed by columns, so the hotel had to be built with 4 levels underground. It was a complicated procedure and demonstrated Harry's fanaticism for detail.
So we had to go down. So when we went down, we had to go down 4 stories to get a high ceiling ballroom. And this was solid rock. And we could not use dynamite to blast it, to build things around it. So everything has been drilled by hand, by the machine. So that one put up the cost because of labor. We used to use so much labor to do that.
But their problems were far from over. Hong Kong's notorious weather was about to test Harry's resolve. The project was lashed by Typhoon Rose and the construction site flooded.
And there was a torrential rain. And the sand, heavy sand, vented the whole sheet piling. So we had to buy again to do it again. And the stainless steel prices were going up. So we are short of cash.
It took 4 years after the rain to complete the building. Harry hit rock bottom financially once again. It was at this point an offer was made on the hotel by Hong Kong Land. All the brothers agreed to sell, except Harry.
I said no. He said, you calculate, you don't even get 2% return, and you're borrowing money at 9% and 10%, and we must sell it.
The disagreement split the family.
When the 6 brothers, in other words, my father and his 5 brothers, had a very big fight at work, and they decided to part ways. They came back home, they called the wives, they told them, we're coming back home, but we're going our separate ways.
So once they came, and it was so quiet while they got out of the car, didn't say anything, but I told my sister, and I said, there's a trouble going on here, so let's see what's happening, be careful.
They knew there was going to be trouble. We used to go home at 7:38. They haven't been 9 o'clock, we are not home yet. Because then all the girls were there, all my sister-in-laws and my wife was there. They greeted us, why so late today? We had long faces. We said, we made a decision that we are going to separate.
He took me, the other brothers took wife and said, we want to move house, this and that, this and that. We all sister came and sat one side. You have a problem? We have no problem. You have a problem, you can move out. That really put them in a shock.
And we started laughing, and that broke the ice.
After 10 years of seemingly insurmountable obstacles, the Holiday Inn Golden Mile Hotel finally opened in 1974. But the day of opening was marred by another family tragedy. Harry's mother passed away, and as the family rallied round in grief, it was left to Harry's 4-year-old son Aaron, the only Harilela in attendance, to cut the ribbon at the grand opening. The bittersweet opening of the Holiday Inn, however, paved the way for Harry's future property empire. Today, the Harilela Group hotel chain comprises 9 major hotels, including the Holiday Inn Golden Mile in Hong Kong, Westin Resort in Macau, and hotels in Bangkok, Pattaya, Singapore, Penang, Montreal, London, and soon China. Family members, including Aaron, hold crucial positions that oversee management and ensure the business interest of the group is well looked after. But the day-to-day running of the business is left to hired professionals.
His philosophy to running any business, but I can speak more to the hotel business, obviously, is listening. He first seeks to listen and to understand a particular situation, even though he's been in the hotel business longer than me, quite a bit longer. But Dr. Harry is one of those real professionals who decides to listen to other professionals because he doesn't assume that he knows everything.
At the same time, he's also very shrewd. Dr. Harry knows a good deal when he sees one, I believe, and he knows a bad deal, and he makes decisions very quick. And this is something that not many people do.
Harry's humble nature earned him respect from business partners around the world who helped facilitate his billion-dollar empire. And with the riches come the spoils, a dream house for his family in one of Hong Kong's wealthiest neighborhoods.